So whether you're a complete beginner or an expert just wants to review some of the basics, you're in the right place. Hello, my name is Daryl, and today we're going to talk about SoundSwitch. And at the end of this video, I want you to feel confident being able to get started. And you know, I really wanted to call this video SoundSwitch for Simpletons, but I don't know. We're going to stick with Dummies because that's a recognized name. You can check out my other video where we talk about like DMX basics. And one of the great things about SoundSwitch is that you don't really need to mess around with DMX. It kind of abstracts those low-level details from you. And it kind of behaves like a DAW, kind of like Ableton or FL Studio, really letting you unlock your creativity. So when I create like SoundSwitch light shows, people always ask me like, how long did that take you, man? How long did that take? So in this video, we're just going to talk about the basics, but that's one of the great things about SoundSwitch is that like the Pareto principle applies. 20% effort will give you 80% results. And then you can just spend infinite time just trying to customize your scenes and your chases, and we're not going to talk about that today, but just getting up and started will be immensely beneficial for you and your light show. And if you're still not sold on SoundSwitch, check out this video right here. Before we get started, I just want you to know about a few more resources. So soundswitch.com/getting started, there's a bunch of videos, and these are the videos that helped me get started, so they are quite good, but I understand that some people like explanations from different people, so that's why you're here. Thank you. And if you prefer written documentation, which I do sometimes, because videos can take a long time to parse through, and it's easier to search a text document, and we'll go over like connecting SoundSwitch to your DJ software. But if you're having issues, I highly recommend that you go here, going through each step, making sure you didn't miss anything. And if you're looking for a more in-depth tutorial where we create a light show step by step, I'm offering one as part of my course, and I'll have a link in the description below. So let's begin. So to get started, the first step is you need a piece of hardware, and SoundSwitch offers two pieces of hardware. So they have a more affordable dongle for about 40 bucks, as well as the SoundSwitch Control 1 for about $300. Both can control SoundSwitch, both work really well, and if you're just a beginner, I highly recommend you stick with the dongle. It's a lot smaller of an investment, and it comes with a 3-month trial of SoundSwitch, the software, which we'll go over in just a few moments. But yeah, this is what it looks like. One end plugs into your laptop, one end plugs into something with DMX. This can plug into another DMX cable and go directly into your fixtures or into some wireless transmitter solution. And I really like this one from Dongle, so I just plug this in. And just like that, I'm good to go. I can wirelessly transmit to a number of fixtures. And then you need a software license to be able to use the software. So you go to soundswitch.com/shop. I'll have a link in the description below. When you get the dongle, you get 3 months free. But after you get the dongle and you decide you like SoundSwitch, you can pay a monthly fee. You can pay annually and get a couple months free. Or if you just hate monthly subscriptions and you just want to own the thing outright, you totally can for $199. You get free upgrades for the lifetime of the 2.0 software. When and if they're coming out with a 3.0, I don't know. And if I did, I wouldn't be able to tell you. So once you buy a license and you create an account, you'll go to downloads and you'll download it. I'm running on a Windows machine, so I would download here. But if you're running a Mac, this is where you would download it. And if you're running an engine-enabled device, like the Prime 4 Plus, engine lighting already has it built in, so you do not need to download anything extra. We downloaded SoundSwitch, the software, and this is the screen we get. So first we're going to talk about edit mode. Before we can start using SoundSwitch, we have to do a few things. So click edit, and I created a new project called Learning, and you can create a new project right here. And this is the screen in front of you. First things first is we need to add our lights. We need to tell the software which lights we're using. So before we get to that, let's make sure that the hardware is connected properly. So I have the dongle plugged into my computer. Your SoundSwitch USB dongle is working properly. It should emit a blue light like that. Now let's verify it in the software. On this top right corner within this gear icon, you click it, and then you go to the hardware tab, and then you will see your interface, micro USB to DMX. So it seems to be working. Alright, so for today's demo, I'll be using the both IR4, a wireless battery operated PAR, has a built-in DMX receiver, and I'm going to be using this Strobes Intimidator 255 IRC. Now this is my uplight. I have it on channel 1 in 6-channel mode. That's important to know. I can change these, but you just need to know what is set. Here's my mover, and I have this wireless dongle plugged into the DMX in. And to talk to these two fixtures, since they have wireless DMX, I'll be using this wireless DMX transmitter that I showed you earlier, connected to my dongle. So we need to add our lights. So you can do that in a couple of places, but I think the best place to do it is you go to this View tab, go to Show DMX Map, and it takes you to this screen. So let's add both of my fixtures. First, let's do the par. So all of both lighting's uplights have the same DMX profile, which simply means that they all react to DMX the same way. They all have the same addresses, and they have a 10-channel and a 6-channel mode. And I showed on my piece of hardware that I was using 6-channel mode, so this one will work. And if you have multiple of these lights, you can have them all have unique addresses, or if you just want them to kind of all do the same thing and have like an easier setup, then you can just have a single address, which is what we'll do now. Okay, so let's click on this. All right, we have our light, and let's add our mover. I have it in 13-channel mode. So you can have these addresses be whatever you want. They just can't overlap. Just know that I have it on 121 already in my existing show, so I don't pay too much mind to that. All right, and that's it. All my lights have been added. If things aren't working, double check that these addresses and these profile modes are the same on your hardware as you have it mapped within SoundSwitch. All right, we're gonna talk about the various components of the edit menu very briefly, because I feel like a crash course in SoundSwitch is not complete without talking about like the edit UI, but just know that it's not necessary to do a lot of editing to get up and running, and I highly recommend that you just get up and running before you go back and start editing your light show. Like I mentioned, 20% effort will give you 80% results, so you can go back and then you can start tweaking things. And that's the great thing about SoundSwitch. It's so flexible that you can edit it to really unlock your creative vision. But yeah, let's talk about the edit UI. So I have my two fixture tracks right here that we just added. We have our par and our mover, and then we have something called the master track. Really nothing is happening right now, so let's open one of the auto loops to really see it. So you click on this A right here, and then you will see our banks of auto loops. And right out of the box, we have some boilerplates auto loops. So let me click on one. So this is a timeline. If you click your space bar or this play button on the bottom right corner, it will start going through this auto loop. And notice how my lights are reacting. On our master track, we have a few things happening. We have these shapes, these lines, and these are intensity overrides. This tells our lights how bright they need to be at any given moment within this timeline. So at the top of this peak, that's full brightness, and at the bottom, that's like full dimness. It will gradually like listen to that. And then also these are just the colors. So this master track is really great because every time you add new fixtures, it will automatically listen to this. And if you want your individual groups of lights to do things differently, you can by providing a fixture override within the fixture track. So let's go ahead and apply a color here. Let's do yellow. So notice that our par is listening to the intensity of the master track because it does not have an intensity override, but it's using its color override. And we can also do an intensity override. There we go. Now it's no longer listening to the master track at all. But notice how the mover is just kind of twitching up in the air, and it's really not doing anything useful. On the master track, there's a couple of additional things I want to point out. So let me just zoom in and notice that there's these flags and these carrots. So I'm going to talk about these. And so if you do have movers, this is a step you need to take before you get started, and that is setting positions. So at this menu right here, just click on any one of these positions and it'll bring you this menu. And this is where you can configure your positions for your movers. So I only have one mover. So I like this bottom right quadrant. It feels like the lights do really well, like on top of a totem in this mode, pointing towards the dance floor, which I think is ideal for my use case as a mobile wedding DJ. Let me just add some positions without giving too much thought to it. All right, here we go. And then just know that you can delete any of these positions, rename them, or add new ones. And you have the option to invert the pan or tilt. All right, let me play back this auto loop again. Notice how the mover is doing something a little bit more useful. It's more pointing towards the dance floor. You can create movement by having positions, and the light will follow these. But just note that there's also a movement override. So you can do a different type of movement. We won't go too much into this, just know it's there. And you can apply a strobe as well to this master track or individual tracks. So that's what explains these carets. These are our positions. Let me just switch to a different auto loop just for fun. So now we have these flags, which are attribute cues. Lots of our lights have like really interesting features that you can adjust with like DMX manipulation, and that's where attribute keys come into play. That applies to like pixel bars that have really cool built-in macros, and our moving heads have some interesting functionality. Let me show you. Click on one of these attribute cues, and then you see our fixtures. So our par really is really basic in 6-channel mode, so it doesn't have anything more interesting. But our mover, you can manipulate the gobo wheel, the rotation, the prism, as well as some other special functions. Setting up attribute cues is totally optional and not required to get up and running. But yeah, so right now it's like an open gobo, but I can change this value, and it changes the gobo. I can have it rotate, and this is just going to be the straight up DMX value, a value between 0 and 255. Turn on the prism, and this particular mover has different functionality like a movement. So just note that this is really dependent on your fixture and what capabilities it has. So basically you can create different attribute cues with different values, and then you can apply it and put it on this timeline. So we just created this one. So at this point in the timeline, it won't apply this effect, but then once it gets here, then it will apply our gobo and our rotation and our prism that we just set. And the last thing I want to talk about within the edit mode is scripting, and we're not going to talk a lot about it. I just want to let you know that it's there. A lot of the SoundSwitch demo light shows you see on the internet, this is how you do it. In this music folder right here, you can find a song, and you choose a song, and then here is a timeline, and here is like the waveform of your song. And this is where you can like manually create some intensity and color overrides, or you can click this auto button and have it be auto scripted. So this is not an auto scripting tutorial, just know that it's there. And so when you play this song within your DJ software, this new light show that was just dynamically created will play back. And if a song does not have one of these auto scripted light shows, it'll just at random go through one of these auto loops. And you can auto script auto loops, because by default all of your auto loops are listening to the master track, and they all have the same color. So you can click auto, choose a style, and here we go. Now our lights are doing different things, but they are complementary, so yeah, pretty cool. Alright, it's time to get into performance mode. So this is just the edit mode, so you're never really going to need to get into this interface when you're at a gig and play back any of these auto loops. So you go to File at the top left corner, click on Switch Mode from the drop down, and click Perform. Click the default menu, and here we go. So now it is time to connect to your DJ software, and so there's various instructions within the official documentation. So go ahead and look at that. And you can connect to Serato and Virtual DJ within the same laptop. So if you have Virtual DJ, select Virtual DJ, or Serato DJ, select that as well. So let's go ahead and open Virtual DJ. And notice this Virtual DJ button right here. It lights up as soon as I boot up Virtual DJ. So that means that they are connected. An important setting to have in here is to make sure that your OS2L sound to light protocol is on. And I think this is checked yes by default, or it's on auto, so shouldn't have to do much. And like I said, if you're having trouble with this step, go to that like official guide and make sure you're not missing anything. And don't be afraid to restart the program or restart your computer. And also really important to know is if you are using SoundSwitch in a scenario where you're not connected to DJ software, like at a production gig, running lighting for a band, or you're running a record box, or for some reason you're at a gig and Virtual DJ is not connecting and you just need your lights to run, this is what you'll do. You click on this link button on the top left corner, and this will put the lights in standalone mode. Just notice that, yeah, the lights are moving, they are working. And within performance mode, you have like various controls, so you can just like click on them and affect your light show. Getting the most out of performance mode should be its own video, so we won't go too much more into it, just know that it's there. You can choose any one of your auto loops. You can even repeat auto loops, so if you have like a really chill auto loop for like a slow dance, this is really useful. Static looks are extremely important because SoundSwitch is really powerful because you can like automate your light show when it's time for the dance party, but you probably don't want to have dance party lighting during like cocktail hour or dinner. So right click on one of these buttons, click edit, then you can choose the values. So I want them to be white in my instance, the white LED, and then white for the mover. Put the intensity to full. And I want my position for the mover just to be pointing up. And I'm not going to set any of these attribute keys. I click OK. So I'm still in standalone mode. My lights are just doing an auto loop. So let me just click on my newly created static scene. And let me edit it real quick. Let's change the color to be white. And let's rename it to white. So you just push on this, and there we go. Here's our static scene. We're ready for dinner. And you can have like different static scenes for different like moods throughout the evening. And then when it's time for dance party, release this static scene. Boom, here we go. Okay, let's get back to performance mode. All right, a couple of songs that I have written. So within performance mode 2, on the top right corner, there's like some preferences and settings you can adjust. You can also disable strobes, which might be important for the beginning of the dance party when we have like older folks still present. So SoundSwitch communicates with your DJ software so it knows like what to play. So if you have like a custom scripted song, it's going to queue up that custom light show. And if you don't, it's going to play one of the auto loops at random synced to the beat grid. But what happens if you have more than one song playing at the same time? So SoundSwitch deals with this by also listening to the crossfader and upfader position within your DJ software to determine which track to sync the light show to and how to blend the light shows visually. And SoundSwitch gives us 4 performance mode styles to match your unique DJ mixing style. So to help me visualize performance mode, I have 2 tracks with a song loaded in each one. So by default, when I play a track, a random auto loop is played in SoundSwitch. And so each song is paused and the execution of that auto loop is also paused. And within blend mode, we'll take a look at your crossfader. It'll try to play a light show based on the position of your crossfader, and it will try to blend 2 light shows together. And so for example, you can see right here, it's like light blue and light green. If I want to go all the way to the left, it's purple. And then in the middle, it tries to blend those 2 together. And it's a sliding scale, so more to the right will look more like green and blue. More to the left will look more purple. So that is blend mode. So there is cut mode. So it's more of like a hard transition, so it's not trying to blend them together. So this is like the 50% threshold. So when it's over here, it's playing this light show. And when it's over here, it's playing this light show. There's no blending of the 2. And then there is scratch mode, because if you are like constantly moving this crossfader, you don't want it to be changing sporadically every time you're moving your crossfader. It will only transition the light show once it hits the 90% mark. So for example, right now it's in purple and it's not going to change the light show until I get really close to all the way to the right. So I can just be moving my crossfader like crazy in the middle and the light show is not going to go so sporadic. And then there is upfader only. And you can choose this setting if you primarily mix using the up or channel faders, and this bypasses the crossfader. Having multiple upfaders up will result in like a blended light show. Just having one of the upfaders up will result in just a single light show that's not blended. Also note that in this mode, if you're using upfader, the upfader changes the intensity. Because I know some people like to have their upfaders like not all the way up, but that's going to make your lights a little bit more dim, which is maybe what you want, but probably not. So let's see, the intensity is directly correlated with this upfader. And I won't cover it here, but just know that there's some specific instructions for Windows users, and there's also some advanced settings, so be sure to check those out. Alright, you are ready to rock, my friend. You are able to get the SoundSwitch software up and running, connected to your DJ software, and playing back some chases synced to the music. So awesome. So I have a demo where I took just these steps and nothing else, and I created a light show. I did a small DJ set, and you can see all the lights are synchronized to the music and they kind of all match with each other. There's no chaos, things are nice. And so that's the 20% effort that gets you to 80% benefit of the software. And then The 80% effort to get the extra 20% benefit really is through customization. And SoundSwitch is awesome because it gives you the flexibility to customize all of your stuff. You don't have to, it's totally optional. Probably the best use of your effort is to customize your auto loops. So you can implement color schemas between like your various groups of lights with those overrides like we mentioned earlier. You can create more dynamic shows, like having your pars on at one beat and then have your movers on in the next beat, playing around with that. One of the main takeaways I want with this video is try to get SoundSwitch up and running before you customize it too much, because I've seen people get into that mistake where they're not using SoundSwitch because they are trying to get their light show just right. Even me, someone that's like pretty good at SoundSwitch, I mean, you want to have like an MVP, a minimal viable product, something that you can use at your shows. It may not be like your exact vision right away, but you just want to be able to get it up and running. You want your lights to be synchronized and coordinated. And then later on, maybe during downtime or maybe on a weekend you're not as busy, you can start like slowly customizing your light show to really dial in your vision and have an excellent light show. And now when you go to your gig, you can just set it and forget it and really focus on the music and let your lighting run itself. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. Please smash like and subscribe if you haven't. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below. And again, this is just a high-level overview. And if you're interested in a more in-depth tutorial, you can join my course. I have a link in the description below, where we'll go over the creation of a project from start to finish using several groups of lights. I'll give some tips for performance mode as well. Some of the secret sauce for performing while using SoundSwitch. And I'll see you in the next video.